This video contains moves from a different planet. White now plays e takes d5 and black castled queenside. Wow, this is only one of the many out of this world moves made in this game. This is world number 2 versus world number 1. Welcome to the show. This is the clutch chess final, but firstly, what is clutch chess? The players play 6 rapid games. This is starting with 10 minutes on the clock plus 5 seconds each per move. The first 4 games are normal. The final 2 games are clutch games. If one player wins, they get a bonus $2,000. This is exactly what we will see. Games 5 and 6 are clutch games. This is game 6. Caruana has white. Carlsen has black. The game began. e4, c5, knight f3, knight c6 and bishop b5, the Rossolimo Sicilian variation. e6. By the end of this video, you will also be able to answer these key points. The point of e6 is to play knight e7, so then the knights defend each other. White captures, and black captures towards the center. d3, and now queen c7, planning to go e5. Castle, knight e7 and h4, the first out of this world move. This move is very odd because white has castled, but the point of h4 is to play h5 to stop black playing knight g6. So instead, black goes e5, maybe planning d6, and then this bishop can come out. h5 stops it, and now the second out of this world move. Black now goes knight back to g8. Because it can't go to d6, so it goes to g8 and then it comes out to f6. Wow. Knight h2, knight f6 and f4, a normal sort of idea in these closed positions. White has the pawn structure c2, d3, e4. We get the knight out the way and then go f4, opening up the f-file for the rook. Bishop e7, knight c3 and d6. Caruana continues with the h-pawn march, throwing the pawn up h6, and now Carlsen took. Because he is looking ahead, the rook can go to g8, attacking the white king. So he takes, and then Caruana now locks it up. Well, first question is, maybe he doesn't have to take, he could go g6, but then white starts to get an advantage. We can take on e5 and then go bishop g5, and there's pressure on the knight on f6. It's only being defended by the bishop. So Carlsen didn't want that, so he took f5, rook g8, and bishop takes h6, getting your pawn back. This bishop, it's locked in, so Carlsen now plays c4, opening it up. Breaking up the white center, the bishop can go to a6. So c4 is a great move. So king h1, just keeping the king safe, and now bishop a6. White now plays b3, forcing a decision. So black takes in the center. No point taking this way, really bad move, because after a b3 you get this rook in the game, attacking this bishop. So that's why Carlsen had to take the central d-pawn, take back, and now d5. Another big decision, why are you opening up the center when your king is still in the middle? But this is part of Carlsen's strategy. By the way, I want to show you a normal looking move, which is castle queenside. Then it makes sense to play d5. After castle, maybe Carlsen didn't want to allow knight d5, because after take, rook c1. So instead of castling first, Carlsen breaks open the center with d5, another great move, and after e takes d5, we saw this at the beginning of the video, Carlsen now castled queenside. Wow. Rook c1 played, putting indirect pressure on the c-file. Once this knight moves, you can see there's pressure. Now what happens if you go d takes c6? Grabbing another pawn, black can grab a very important central pawn, rook takes d3, and after the queen moves, the rook can come back and then take this pawn. Notice this bishop is now very much alive. So Caruana did not want to allow that, so he goes rook c1, very sensible, and after knight takes d5, queen f3. So here black has a great position. Notice you don't want to take the knight because after rook d5 it's the same problem as before. The d3 pawn is going to drop if you play queen h5 attacking f7, bishop a3, you're attacking the rook, and the queen on c7 is defending f7. Back to the game, queen f3 played, and after bishop a3, white now sacrifices the rook with knight e4. Because Caruana now has a plan, because after black takes, the knight can go to c5. This is some compensation for white. Knight b4, Carlsen is putting the pressure. Carlsen is still much better. Notice 3 pieces attacking the pawn on d3. Caruana goes knight c5, defending and attacking. Knight c5 attacks a6 and defends b3, but Magnus still takes on d3. Bishop takes d3 and f6. One question might be a3. Why not remove the knight defending the bishop? But black has a very useful in-between move, a very useful intermezzo beginning with e4. Defending the bishop, but also attacking the queen. If you go knight takes, you can take. You have enough time to save your knight. It can come back to d5 and black is winning. Bishop b5, this is Carlsen's first blunder, having made so many incredible moves. Another option was just to go king b8. Now what happens if a3? Still the same idea. Carlsen's bishop is actually very safe on d3 because he's got this hit, e4 once again. Now you can take, and then we have the same thing as before, take, and then the knight can come back to d5. The other option, which is just moving the queen, the knight can go back to d5 anyway. The knight is safe, and so is the bishop on d3, because if you take it, you can just take back. Black is still winning. However, Carlsen went bishop b5. This idea makes sense, he wants to save the bishop, but a4. This is the brilliant move, perhaps missed by Carlsen, and Caruana throws it in, a4 attacking the bishop on b5. Putting a big question to this bishop, where is it going? Bishop a6 was played in the game. Now if it goes back to d3, it looks like a step in the wrong direction because it was there. And the reason it's wrong is because we can go bishop d2, attacking the knight, because if this knight is removed, then white can take the bishop on d3. If you go e4, we can go queen f5 check, and black is in some trouble. King b8, bishop f4 is the idea. After a4, bishop a6, knight g4, and king b8. And we'll see why king b8 is a bad move soon. Another option was bishop b7, so then this bishop isn't attacked anymore by the knight on c5. Also, the black knight can come back to d5. So why was king b8 so bad? Carlsen was hoping maybe let's retreat the bishop back to c8, but black is not in time because this was Caruana's idea. Knight takes bishop check, and then after taking back, this is the big problem, and the move Carlsen missed. Knight takes e5. And Caruana is back in the game with a winning position. The problem is the king and the queen are on the same diagonal. If you play queen takes e5, bishop f4, and you're going to pick up the queen. That's why after knight takes e5, Carlsen still very low on time, about 10 seconds, Caruana 2 minutes. Queen b7, knight takes c6 check, king a8, and knight takes rook. So white is back in the game with a winning position. Rook takes d8 play, just want to show you can't play queen takes f3 because white has the in-between move rook c8 check. The king cannot move, so knight b8, and then you can take your queen. So knight takes d8, take, and queen e2, a great decision to keep the queens on. Black is low on time. Also, black's king is weaker, so this is a great decision. Knight back to b8 because it wants to come to c6 back in the game. Bishop f4, queen d5. Can't play queen takes b3 because queen e4 check. And after queen b7, we can take, and then rook c7 check, picking up on f7. Also, after queen e4 check, if you block the other way, that is worse because take, and rook c8. So after bishop f4, Carlsen played queen d5, and now rook c7. Another option was b4, knight c6, b5, but knight d4 looks very scary. So Caruana went rook c7 first, and knight d7 now played, and now bishop e3 targeting the a pawn. So that's why Caruana put his rook on c7. You've got two targeting now. So what happens? Black takes the f6 pawn, but rook takes a7 check, king b8, and rook e7. Another option, you can go rook a6 and maybe rook b6 check, trying to keep up the attack. This looks very dangerous, so black would have to swap queens off, and then the game would continue. Something like this, bishop g1, knight g4. But in the game, rook e7 played, rook d7, swapping rooks off because white's rook is more dangerous, bishop f4 check, king b7, take, and b4, getting your majority rolling. But is this enough for a win? Knight b6, queen e7 check, knight d7, and queen d6. This is a gigantic decision. And queen d6. This is a gigantic decision. Because swapping queens off, just because you've got two pawns rolling on the queen side, is this winning? Take. Black now gets closer with king c6, bishop e7, keeping an eye on b4. Because this pawn can move any time, as long as b4 is defended, we're good. Knight b6, a5, knight d5, bishop f8. King b5, king h2, and we see the problem with black's position. Black can never take, because after take, the pawn runs. So f5, king g3, h5, bishop c5, king a6, and now king h4. It is vital this pawn stays alive. Then white will be winning. So knight f4, g3, knight e2, bishop d6, the perfect bishop, guarding the b4 and the g3 pawn, and now the king can march to collect the goods. White is winning. King b5, king takes h5, knight c3. Notice, knight takes g3 check doesn't work because we can take. Black has no time to take because, once again, you just run the a pawn. Let's see the rest. Knight c3, king g6, just got to be a bit careful, even though this is still winning, because you don't need to go king g5, just go king g6. Knight e4, and after bishop f4, black resigned. Thank you so much for watching all the way until the end. I hope you learned a lot from this video. Here are my key points. Many surprising moves. White castled kingside, and then he played h4 and then h5. This made sense because then the knight cannot go to g6, but what did Carlsen do? He put it back to g8 and then back to f6. Carlsen opened up the center with d5, and he did not recapture, but he castled queenside first. Another out of this world move. Tactical moves in this game were a4, kicking the bishop away, and then knight takes e5. Then white was taking over. In the endgame, a gigantic decision to trade queens off with queen d6. Is this endgame winning? Yes, Caruana proved it to be true. He put the bishop on d6, the king came in, and then he won this very important clutch game. If you enjoyed the show, there's a donation link in the description below. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in a future video.